Hello, my name is Pamela Sullivan, and I'm the director of the Stanley County Senior Services Department located in Albemarle. Alexa Sells is the program coordinator, and she's here with us today as well. Every year, the Stanley County Senior Center hosts a 90-plus birthday party for seniors who are 90 years old and older. Due to COVID, we have not been able to hold this event for 3 years. We decided to bring the annual event back in 2023 to celebrate those in our county who have had such milestone birthdays.
This year, the party was held on Tuesday, August 29th with a Wild West theme. Approximately 65 seniors who were 90 years old and older attended this event. We had two 98-year-olds in attendance who were recognized as being the wisest in the room. Several seniors who attended this year's party are with us today to tell us about their lives and their secrets to longevity.
Today we have Mr. Raymond Miller here with us to talk to us about his secrets to reaching 94 years old. So, Mr. Raymond, tell us where you were born and when you were born.
I was born on March the 19th, 1929 in Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, that's cold up there, especially in March.
Yeah. Yep, that would have been cold.
Yeah? Well, tell us what it was like growing up there.
I didn't grow up there. I think my dad and mother moved back to Stanley County. Trying to think just when, but I was probably a year and a half, 2 years old.
Okay.
So it would have been 1930, 31.
Okay.
We moved back on the farm, and what do you do on the farm when you're a kid? You know,
You have to work, don't you?
you have to work. Part of the time we had to pick cucumbers. I guess we had 2 acres of strawberries there for a while.
Wow. Did you eat them while you picked them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when they're the best.
That's
you know?
right,
A lot better
absolutely.
than the ones you buy today.
Yeah.
So
Well, tell us a little bit about the farm. Did you have air conditioning, electricity, things like that on the farm?
when we first moved back to my grandfather's farm, we did not have electricity. They were installing it when we moved because I remember them, they ran exposed wires for electricity then. It's not like it is today.
Right.
And I remember them doing that, and I remember them running the poles up the street, up the road to our house. And I remember they were very particular about having, if they had 3 poles in a line, they had to be straight. You couldn't have a pole sitting over to one side if there were 3 of them in one line. But any rate, I do remember them installing electricity in the old house that
Yeah.
we lived in.
Did you have air conditioner?
Gosh, no. The air conditioning didn't come along for another 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's great. Now tell me about any siblings. Did you have any siblings?
There were 6 of us, 1 girl and 5 boys.
Oh, so your dad had some help on the farm, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, it didn't get much help on the farm, but at any rate, we survived. We
Yeah.
had a good life, really.
Good, good. Well, I'm gonna let Alexa ask a few questions.
Yeah. So what did you do for fun on the farm or just growing up? What's some fun things that you enjoyed doing?
Well, when we lived on my grandfather's farm, I was really too small to do anything. And then the government started a project down in Pender County that was truck farms. So somehow, I don't know how Dad got connected, but we wound up moving down there on 20 acres that they would give you, I think, if you stayed there 5 years. Don't believe we stayed there 5 years, but at any rate, we moved to that area, and in that area, there were 3 main crops. It was like cucumbers and tobacco and strawberries. And you had about 2 acres of each. And picking strawberries and cucumbers always bothered me because you had to bend over all the time.
Yeah.
But that's about all we grew on those farms.
Well, that sounds fun. What was school like for you? Did you go to school? Were you homeschooled?
I went to school in fact, I started, where did I go to school first? Probably up here at New London. And then we moved down there, and I guess, I don't know how long we lived down there, but I went to school while we were there. I've always gone to school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't particularly care for school, but I did enjoy math and still do.
Good. Good.
Can't spell.
That's okay, me either. Well, so you moved back here. Did you go back to New London? Is that where you graduated from?
Yes, graduated from New London.
Okay. All right.
The first year that they had 12 years was when I graduated.
Okay.
Wow.
So before that it was 11,
Yeah.
But I guess school was okay. One thing I did dislike and still was like English and that type of thing. I like math, still like math.
Yeah. You're a numbers guy.
Well, somehow I can remember numbers a whole lot better than I can remember
Right.
how to diagram a sentence or something.
All right. Now tell us about what happened after you graduated high school.
I had a friend in high school that I guess the morning after I got my diploma, we had bought a used school bus and fixed it up to live in. We left for Florida.
Oh, wow.
And we stayed down there for 3 months, I guess, and then came back up. And some people that I knew here were going to Indiana working for the government. And they said, if you'll come up there, we'll get you a job. So here we go. And we got up there and like to starve to death. We didn't have a job and no money.
Oh,
But we finally did get a job with them, and we worked for the, I guess, Department of Commerce. But at any rate, they would stay in one location surveying, and then they would move to another location. And then during the summer, they would always send a group to Alaska to do the same thing. So we volunteered to go to Alaska. And different experience altogether.
oh, I bet. So what part of Alaska were y'all at?
Well, we went to Bethel, and from there we went up I believe it was Kuskokwim River, if I remember correctly. And they'd put us at a location for at least several weeks, and we lived in a tent by ourselves. And some of the guys seen bears. I didn't ever see a bear, but of course we had a rifle and
Right.
a lot of birds around. I believe they were called ptarmigan or something like that. And but it was an experience, I'll tell you. We had the only way to get around up there, because it was just lake beside a lake, is that the planes we had were able to land on water.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd put you out in a tent, and of course you'd had food, but they would maybe come by once a day, and if you had a problem, you had to signal them, but no communications other than that plane coming by.
Wow. And how long were you there?
How long? Just one summer.
Just one summer. That was long enough, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, it was worth it. I mean,
An experience you won't forget.
yeah, and it's Alaska's a different place.
It
I
is.
mean, it's when you get out in the boondocks, it's something. And I do remember that where we were, the mosquitoes were terribly bad.
Oh no.
And they wasn't out in the first part of the summer. And I wondered why we had mosquito netting on our tents. But then the latter part of the summer I found out. I mean, when also it was interesting to me that I could lay down in my tent and the mosquitoes would all kind of go away. But you get up and move around, they just cover that netting on the front of the tent. So I don't know how they sense whether you're moving or whether they smelled you or what,
Right.
but
That is something.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But anyway, it was a it was a worthwhile trip. When we got up there, I thought we were like I said on a river, and we're still frozen over. And the ice started breaking up, and when the ice was floating down the river, there'd be a tree sitting on a big hunk of ice where it had broke off from the land. But I know the water in that river was just around and around you. If you fell in it, you'd have been gone. But it was interesting,
Right.
worth the trip.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. So tell us a little bit about meeting your spouse.
Okay. Ruby lived downtown. I lived up in the country about 3 or 4 miles. But the girl that lived close to me was a good friend of Ruby's.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I met her. 'Cause she'd come up there and stay for the weekend or something, you know.
Yeah.
So all of us would hang around where Ruby's friend was, because I don't know, Maddie's father was just an outgoing person that's always had something stirred up. So that's where we hung around, and that's how I met Ruby at that place.
Now, how old were you when you got married?
You're asking me funny questions.
I know that's a tough one.
I think I was probably 21, 22,
Okay.
because before that I had gone to Alaska, and I know when I come back, well, it wasn't too long after that I did get married, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many children did you have? Did you
5.
5? You and Ruby had 5 children. How many grandchildren do you have?
More than you can count, huh?
I can think it's either 4 or 5, something like that.
And do you have great grandchildren?
Huh?
Do you have great grandchildren or great grandchildren?
I think I had one this week.
Oh,
wow.
my goodness, well, congratulations.
Yeah.
That's a lot to keep up with, though, isn't it?
Well, they weigh, I mean, all of them but one are somewhere else.
Right.
One's in Florida and 2's in Texas.
And did you guys raise your family here in Stanley County?
Yes, they have one son here.
Okay.
And, yeah. And a daughter, she's in Cabarrus County.
Yeah. All right.
But the rest of them are, like I said, Florida and Texas.
Right.
See, that's an advantage, because you raise them and now they get out like that, you can go live off of them
That's
for a
right.
while.
Absolutely. You get to go and visit them. Let them take care of you now, right?
Yeah.
What did you do after you went to Alaska and everything? What was your profession growing up? Like after you met Ruby and was married, what did you do?
I always liked electricity for some reason. And I worked for a while as I guess a learner electrician, but uh, when I started, electronics was just becoming a thing that was happening, and for some reason I just enjoyed tinkering with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it, I was in service when electronics was beginning to grow. I went to a pawn shop, and I bought a radio that didn't have any tubes in it. And I brought it back, and I happened to be in service with a couple of engineers, and they told me what to do to get the radio going. And that was kind of my first experience in the radio. But service and crew got me started with that.
So what branch of the military did you serve in?
Army.
The Army. How long did you serve?
I was in, I believe, 18 months or so.
Did you get to serve in any foreign countries?
No.
No.
Texas.
Gotcha.
Mexico was right close.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your service.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So tell me, what is something that you're most thankful for?
The what?
You're most thankful for?
Well, probably family.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got a good family.
That's great. It's good. It's always good to have a good support system.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So tell us, are there any secrets to living to 94? Any lifestyle tricks that you do that you'd like to share?
Not really.
No?
No. Just try to eat properly. That's about the main
Eat
thing.
properly, yeah. That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's important
But,
to eat healthy.
I do try to keep active. I mean, I know that if you don't, you'll freeze up, you know. And
That's true.
I do, as a routine, I do 20 minutes of some kind of exercise, either treadmill or bicycle every day. That's 7 days a week.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I didn't do that, I'd probably would have trouble.
Yeah. That's
But,
wonderful that you're able to continue to move and do 20 minutes a day.
Yeah, it gets harder every day, but
But you keep trying.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with us about your life or anything else?
I don't think so. I've never done anything really exciting that's out of the ordinary, and I don't think of anything.
All right. Well, we thank you so much for coming and attending the 90-plus birthday party that we had at the Senior Center.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And we appreciate your time today and sitting down with us and just talking with us. Thank you so much.
Well,
We appreciate having you here.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, really.
Absolutely. We have the privilege of having Mr. Steve Hopkins here with us to interview. And Steve is going to tell us a little bit about his life. So welcome, Steve. Thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Yeah, we are too. Now tell us a little bit about when and where you were born.
I was born on Bowers Road when the doctors came to your house, and I was not quite ready, so he lay down and took a nap until I was ready in August 14th, 1930.
1930. All right. So that makes you how old?
93.
93. All right. Well, tell us, so you were born on Bowers Road. Is that where you grew up?
Well, my father moved to Porter. He bought a house for $300, and we lived in that house 20 years till after I was married. And but I stayed with my grandmother because my grandfather died early with the flu, and when you had to go out and cut wood, you cook with wood. And so he went out sick and took pneumonia and died in 1919, and left my grandmother with 6 children. My mother was the oldest, and she was 15. I was just 15.
Wow.
So I helped farm. In fact, I farmed one summer, probably in 1944, during the World War. My uncle had to go to service, and so they wanted me to farm a 1-horse farm, about 25 acres. You know.
Right. All right. So, what? Any interesting stories from your childhood?
Well, like I say, I was, after reading some of the things I wrote, I was like an accident ready to be happening, it seems, but the Lord took care of me.
He
And
did.
Yeah, you had to know, you didn't have all the gadgets to give problems then. No refrigerators, or you had to carry your milk and butter to the spring to keep it cool.
Right.
And I remember it sleeting. We did finally get an ice box, and it sleeted one summer in July in a large, not as large as golf balls, but pretty large. So we put those in the ice box.
Yeah. You took advantage of the sleet,
And you had to barter back then. You didn't need any money. I remember I'd ride to Norwood on a bicycle and carry eggs and barter for flour, cornmeal, salt, things you needed.
Right.
And I broke a couple eggs one time. I hated that so bad, you know.
So did you have electricity?
No electricity done until about 1941.
Okay. Any plumbing,
Um,
heating and air?
No plumbing. Mondays was wash day, and we had to carry water from the community well for my mother to wash.
Yeah. And that's something now that we have just washing machines just right in our house versus having one wash
Yeah.
day.
And you had to scrub them on the scrub board
That's
too
right.
until she got a washing machine with a wringer, you know.
Mhm. That's something. So tell us about the story when you were 10 and you broke your legs. How did you break your legs?
Well, I didn't break my legs.
You didn't break your
My
legs?
father ran over my
Oh,
legs.
father ran over them. How did he run
with a
over them?
car. Well, I thought I could stay out of the way. I was hanging on to the back of the car, and he backed out of he called it a car shed then. and he didn't see me, and he just backed over and went across both legs. So, but the cars didn't weigh too much then. It was either a T model or A model. And so my legs stayed sore several times, and I remember exactly I was 10 because that's when they paved the Highway 52 south. They were pouring concrete in sections.
Right.
So that's the way you remember things, is to associate with something else.
Mm-hmm. So Highway 52 got paved and you got ran over by the car.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, that's something. All right, I'm gonna let Alexa ask you a few questions, okay?
Okay.
What'd you do for fun growing up? Is there anything that you just enjoyed, or
On up to how
How old?
however old you want to be?
the family enjoyed camping, you know, and traveling, and well, back then you had large gardens. You did the gardening, so they taught me all kind of skills like a craft. You know, that's the way you should be, like way back, you called it studying under a craftsman, you know, to learn a certain trade. But the way that the things change now, you need more than one career.
Right.
You need to qualify so you can change careers if you need to.
Got to be versatile, right?
Yes.
So tell me about your siblings. How many siblings did you have?
I have one sister. She died a year ago, so she would be 91 now, 90, maybe 92. Alaska, and Violet came to see me this morning. She just had a birthday. She's 89.
Oh, wow.
And got another sister. She'll be 80 in 23rd of December. And my brother was the youngest. He'll be 76. He's a contractor and he has preached some.
Okay. So there were 5 of you.
Yes.
5 of you growing up. Okay. Down in Porter.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I didn't ever know a brother. Well, I think you asked me a question about marriage before, but he was not born till after I
was
was
younger.
married.
Yeah, he's a lot younger, right?
So I didn't know what a brother was, really.
Oh, okay. Well, speaking of marriage, tell us about your spouse and tell us how old you were when you got married and how you met.
Well, I was at the first organizational meeting of South Albemarle Baptist Church with my father on January 29th, 1943. And we were at the home of my wife's father, Tom Poplin, and he had 6 girls, anywhere from 10 to 19. And so I said, well, I got a pick and choice of girls here. And, but we just helped organize the church. But my father started preaching there in 45, around my birthday. And so I started walking home with Juanita. She was one of the middle ones, about my age, a year older. And so we did. We got married secretly, 24th of August, 1947, in Chesterfield, South Carolina. And so I was still in high school, like 1 year, senior year. So we kept it a secret for about a year, 6 or 10 months.
Nobody
maybe.
knew.
I told my mother.
Yeah.
I don't know if she told my daddy or not. And
So she was 8.
anyway, I never regretted. We were married over 66 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
It'll be 76 now.
Yeah.
And I loved her. She helped me so much. She was very talented in doing a lot. She was CNA last. She was supposed to stay with a man after she died. You know, we're scheduled for stay with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And but
67
I worked in textiles for about a year, counting 10 years, counting time I was in service, and went to college at Pfeiffer and worked full time.
Mm-hmm.
But I finished Pfeiffer in '58.
Okay.
Second senior class. It was only a
Pfeiffer.
junior college before that.
Right. So in between that time, did you and Juanita have children?
Well, we couldn't have any. And so that's the reason I got drafted in the service in January of '52. And so I went in with Toby's father, Robert, and Charlie Helms, another friend we knew. So we decided we'd join the Navy, so we left here at the 20th of March 1952 on a bus, and they carried us to Raleigh to be sworn in.
Mm-hmm.
So we left by train and Pullman the next day we went to Birmingham, Alabama, then back up to Memphis, and then on through the Panhandle and on to San Diego. And
Bust you all the way over there, didn't they? And you had to do your training in San Diego.
oh yeah,
Were you deployed? Did you get deployed with the Navy?
get what?
Deployed on the ship?
Oh no,
No.
no, I was lucky. I probably would have been sick if I. No, my mechanical score was not high enough, so he asked me what I would wanted to do. I said I'd like to stay with Robert Thorpe, my buddy, as gunner's mate, and they said, well, your mechanical score is not high enough, and so I said, what did you do before you came in? I said, I ran a knitting machine making ladies' hose, and it had a lot of needles. He said, well, you'll make a good hospital corpsman. No connection of needles whatsoever. So they sent me the northern route to by Chicago, Salt Lake City, and to into Bainbridge, Maryland. 6 months hospital course school, which is a very good school.
Yeah. But you learned some interesting things there, didn't you?
Yeah.
So how long were you in the Navy?
Well, it's short time, like a short story. The war ended, and they let me out. I was at Camp Lejeune drinking some of that bad water, I guess.
I know it.
So I got out. I didn't stay in about a year and a half.
Okay.
I got out early because they didn't need us, and
Right. And so what happened after that? Did you come home?
yeah, I came home, went back to work in knitting machine.
Went back to work.
They have to give you your job back.
Yeah.
And so I waited a year and then went Pfeiffer too,
Okay.
working full time,
Mm-hmm.
third shift part of the time.
Right. Right.
So I don't know how I did it. But, I said, well, my English lit and history, I'd put it beside my head and let it soak in while I slept.
And then where did that lead you?
Well, when I got out, I had 3 schools wanting me to teach math. There was scarcity of teachers.
Right.
And so I picked Indy because it was near home.
Right.
And so I taught 4 years, and then they recommended me to be the principal. And so I went to Chapel Hill that summer, but they didn't even know I was coming. But I went with another principal and another teacher, and when I went through the line, they admitted me. So I don't know how many ever do that, but I went to Chapel Hill and finished in 2 summers by going to Charlotte College. It was only 2 buildings there, and then I took 2 courses in Charlotte during the winter, you know. And then later on, we got our 6th-year degree from Chapel Hill. Dr. Self came down here. He used to be superintendent in Charlotte, so he was a professor, and we got our 6th-year degree.
Right.
And then I did further work at Appalachian State.
Just continuing your
Enough
education.
for my doctor, but I didn't get my doctorate.
No. Well, tell us how long you were at Indy.
Over 28 years.
28 years. And a principal for majority of that, right?
Yes.
That's great. I bet you are able to see a lot of students still.
Oh yes, I see them now. They seem to have thought a lot of me, you know.
I bet they did.
Yeah.
I'm sure
But
you're a
I
wonderful
believe in
principal.
treating everybody like you want to be treated, and
Right.
you know each case was different. You know, you'd have to treat them a little, and maybe treat them a little differently, according to what it was. you know.
Right, right.
In fact, I taught my own daughters,
Did you?
and Tanya got sent to the office 2 times, she said, and but only one time was, I can't remember what it was, but the other time, they had this sliding board, you know, it was pretty high, and this boy would pull her legs and about make her fall. And she told him he better quit, and she carried a pencil with her for sharpening, and he started again, so she jammed the pencil in his arm or hand. So he still got the lead in his hand, I think. So the teacher sent her to the office, and I said, well, I believe she sent the wrong one to the office.
Oh. Well, tell us about your daughters.
Oh, well, they're good, sweet daughters. They helped me out a lot. Tanya followed me in real estate eventually. She went to Appalachian State. And in fact, that's the reason I bought 2 houses up there a while. And so we sold one of them, but we owner financed it in Boone.
Yeah.
And Trina's always worked for attorneys. She worked for Josh Morton. Well, she worked for the Browns first, and then Josh Morton, and then he laid her off. Bill Horn hired her to the Bank of Stanley as a check mortgage there, and said so. Billy said that she taught them something, you know. Because that's what she did in the attorney's office. And so then they changed the system in the banks, you know. In fact, Bill retired, you know Bill Owen. And I'm his favorite uncle. and so he finally retired too. And well, Josh moved his office to Locust, you know, and he had laid her off and before. And so he hired her back. So she didn't like the way the things went at the bank either after 15 years. And so she went back with Josh again. So she worked for him over 20 years, I think.
Wow.
And then he died, you know, last year or year before. And they laid her off again. And so now she's working for Jim Phillips 3 days a week. And she always loves that type of work,
Right.
legal assistance, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Well, good. So, do you have any grandchildren?
I got 4 grandchildren, and they're ages, I'd say 28 to 51.
Okay.
And I got 12 great-grandchildren.
Oh, goodness.
One's adopted, though, kind of. And my youngest one is Tanya's granddaughter, and she's not quite a year and a half old, and they're giving her swimming lessons.
Yeah. Starting them early, aren't they?
Said she cried the first time she went under, but now she went under 3 times and didn't cry.
That's amazing. How do you keep up with all 12 of them?
Well, I just do. I know their birthdays, and I always send them a card and something. And
That's wonderful.
yeah,
I bet they appreciate. What do they call you?
Papa.
Paw Paw. I bet they
Yeah.
appreciate getting that card from Paw Paw.
So really, I sold one of my house I'd lived in, you know, 41 years, that behind the Baptist office on Hedge Road.
Uh-huh.
I built it in 1980. It was 4,000 square feet in the house, and so I lived there by myself up to 2.5 years ago, you
Right.
know. And then I'm still living by myself.
Yeah.
But I'm probably going to assisted living maybe before winter. I don't know,
Yeah.
because I get dizzy too easily, and it seems like they want me to go. I think they're afraid I will fall,
Well,
even though it's very expensive.
it can be, but they'll take care of you there.
Yeah,
There's a lot of good ones out there.
yeah.
A lot of good facilities.
So, Steve, tell us about how you're still working. What is your job right now? What do you still
Well,
do?
I keep records on all the rental houses and the houses finance. I do the Well, most of them it's deposited automatically, you know, from one bank to the other, or the same bank, and so there's only two or three that write checks anymore. It's just so I keep records of all of that. In fact, I just met Tanya in Locust Wednesday, and we did the QuickBooks. And then you make a chip, and then it just flies to the CPA. Then you know.
Yeah. And
David Underwood's a real good CPA.
yeah.
You know him, and he farmed 600 acres too.
I don't know him.
He was one of my students too.
Oh, well, there you go. There's another student
He
connection.
may have taken accounting under me.
That's
I can't
right.
remember.
You taught him all he knows.
So we know you're a numbers guy, but we hear that you write poetry.
Yeah,
Tell us about your
I write
poetry.
sometimes, yeah. When say sending a birthday card, or I got a lot of writings in packs at home, and they can do what they want to when I die. You know, the Lord takes me on. But I say, well, I want to serve Him long as He leads me here. And, He's taking care of me, and He had to.
Right.
You have a lot of aches and pains, but you enjoy your grandchildren and great grandchildren and everyone.
That's right.
Well, I'm sure they enjoy your poetry as
Plus,
well.
I've been a member of South Alamo now for 78 years, I think.
Wow. Yeah, because that's where you met your wife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has been quite some time. That's something. So out of all your professions, what's been your favorite?
Well, I love construction. You
Do
see,
I do. I see your tie. I love your tie.
My daddy we built a house when I was 11 years old.
Okay,
and,
is that where you got it from? You got the start right there?
Probably, and they paid me 50 cents an hour, building that house.
Right.
In other words, my daughter said now $1 million was only worth about 200,000 now. You see.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the first job I worked on is CNA at Norwood on second shift.
Oh, wow.
We ran wool mostly,
Mm-hmm.
and I think if you made $20 a night, it's good, back then. But that was more than $100. Huh?
Yeah. Back then, that probably went a lot longer than it does today.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I know you've traveled quite a bit, and you've explored, and you've gone on mission trips and
Yeah.
things with your church. So any of those that you'd like to share with us? Some of your favorite places you visited?
Well, we flew to Hawaii one time. Tanya finishing college. We enjoyed that, except the long ride over the ocean. I don't think I'd want to go again.
It is a long ride.
But I guess the mission trip is, I went to St. Louis for 6 years, so you got acquainted with a lot of them there. We helped build the church, and we'd always have Bible school, and then we'd give little prizes, little thing they wanted, pencils, candy, or balloons, and they would. The church had 2 doors. They would get theirs, and they'd slip around and come back in the door again. They'd want another one, or carry it to the little brother or something,
Yeah.
So I don't know how the main crop there is bananas. And then they had a couple beer factories, but if you were hungry, you could go on anyone else's land and eat bananas, and so I don't know how they handle the food now with the population explosion.
Right.
They'd come out of those hills barefooted. We start out with maybe 70 in Bible school, and end of the week or whenever we might have 200.
Oh, goodness. It
They'd
grew.
tell the
their
other
friends.
children.
They spread the word. That's what it's about. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So how many mission trips have you been on?
Hey,
8?
There's 6 to St. Lucia,
6, okay.
and 1 to Mexico City. Well, while I was there, we went downtown, saw the Leaning Cathedral. They built it on too soft a ground, you know, and we went to the pyramids, and I climbed one of the pyramids, so but one's all I could stand. You know? You give out, you climb those,
Yeah.
and so it was. I just saw a lot of. Well, I rode a helicopter over Niagara Falls too, but I didn't much want to over Alaska, you know.
So it seems like you've traveled quite a bit, though.
Yeah, I figure I've flown about 80 flights,
Wow.
legs, you know, going on mission trips, and we had a principal's conference in Las Vegas one time.
Oh.
So we went to Wayne Newton's show, and we went by his farm too, where he has horses, and went to the Hoover Dam, and
Yeah. Did all of it while you were out there. But that was really interesting to.
so while I was in Hollywood, I went to 2 shows. It was Miss Brooks back then. Most of them was just radio shows. It was Eve Arden. I don't know. She was a movie star way back. Cordis Archer, and I saw Red Skeleton Studio, but Hollywood was about like Norwood now, I guess. It's really grown, you know.
Yeah. Changed over the years, hasn't it? It has. Well, you are quite an accomplished man. You've done a little bit of everything, and you seem like you're very successful in all that you do.
Yeah, you never say can't. Yeah.
That's
I
right.
was still on top of houses at 85, yeah.
Just still keep going.
But I better not get up there now.
So, do you have any secrets besides continuing to keep going that have got you here today?
Well, when you're born, you know your parents do everything for you, and you need to honor your father and mother, and accept the Lord, and just follow Him, and I don't know how much we're supposed to talk. The Holy Spirit tells you what to do, you know, and you follow the Holy Spirit, because the Lord has something planned for you every day.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I guess I'm about run out. Of course, you asked me a question, you come back to me.
Any other questions you have?
Steve, what are you most thankful for?
Oh, that's good.
I'm just thankful for, I guess, for my family, and knowing the Lord, and it's just He's taken care of me up in all these many years, even though I've suffered some too.
Yes, it is.
That's definitely something to be thankful for. Your health and your family and your love for the Lord.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Any other questions you have today?
I think that's all,
Do
Steve.
you have anything for us that you'd like to share?
I guess not.
All right.
I've about run out.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here with us
Thank
today. We
you.
appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. I love all of you.
Love you. Thank you. Today we have Jewel Lambert with us. She was able to attend the 91st birthday party this year, and she's celebrating her 90th birthday in 2023. So welcome, Jewel. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about when and where you were born.
I was born in Stanley County in Albemarle, born September the 20th of 1933. Also born with me was my twin brother.
You're a twin.
So I had a twin brother.
And what was his name?
His name was Yule. Take the J off of my name, and it's his name.
Okay, Yule and Jewel.
Uh-huh.
That is a fact I did not know about you.
Yes,
That's very
yes.
interesting.
And we were the first twins that was born in the Plyler generation in 100 years.
Oh wow.
So we were kind of popular.
Yeah, that's so. Everybody wanted to come and see the twins.
The Plyler
The
twins.
Plyler twins.
Mm-hmm.
That's something.
And-
Now, did you have any other siblings?
Yes, there I had 3 brothers and 2 sisters. So there were 7 of us
7.
together.
Where did you fit in with all the siblings? Were y'all the oldest, the youngest, or in the middle?
When my twin brother and I were born, my oldest brother was 15 years old.
Oh wow.
We were, then my next one was 13, the next one was 11, then my sister was 9, then my next sister was 7, and there's 7 years between them. So we had a bunch of mothers and
You
daddies.
did.
Mamas and daddies.
So y'all were
yes.
the babies.
We were the babies.
Oh, you did. You had a lot of people to take care of.
We
you then.
certainly did. We had a good family.
Yeah. So did you live in the Plyler community or near
No,
Plyler?
we were born in the city,
Okay.
and we lived there until we were just about 6 years old when we moved up close to New London on 52. That we moved up there and lived up there.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about what it was like growing up with all those siblings older than you, because I'm sure most of them probably moved away while y'all were still young.
They did. I remember more about my second brother, Rossell and Elworth, and my sister Louise and my sister Hazel than I do my older brother, because he was so much. By the time we got up old enough to remember too much, he was gone. But I remember vividly about all of my family. My brothers all were in service, except my twin brother. He was in service in the Korean War.
Okay.
But we were petted and pampered and played with a lot.
You were, I'm
and
sure.
and we had a very good childhood growing up.
Okay. Well, tell me about what your house was like. Did you have to share bedrooms with your sisters
Yes,
or
we
your
did.
brother?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Because there was 7 of us. And, well, there was 9 of us, and we also had a black lady that lived with us to help. But she had a room kind of in the hall, and the 3 bedrooms were shared with sisters and brothers and mom and daddy.
Okay.
And
Did y'all have electricity?
I was one of the fortunate people. I have never in 90 years not lived in a house that didn't have electricity, running water, telephone, radio. Didn't have television, but
Right.
but I was never lived in a house that didn't have all the necessities.
Yeah. That's interesting, especially talking to a lot of folks that attended the
Yeah.
90 plus birthday party,
Yeah,
because a lot of
yeah.
them grew up without electricity
That's
and
true.
plumbing.
But
So
we were
y'all were fortunate.
we were.
Yeah,
We
wonderful. All right, so tell me, what did y'all do for fun growing up?
Oh, that was, you can imagine that many children in one house and what was going on all the time.
I'm sure there was never a dull moment.
And my father came from a big family too, so we had a lot of brothers and sisters, cousins, aunts and uncles and second cousins and down the line. And there was never a dull moment, never a dull moment that we didn't. There was always ball games going on. We played cards and things growing up too, and we did a lot of stuff, you know, the outside things mainly.
Right.
But but we were blessed too. My father loved movies. My mother and father both did, and thank goodness We went to the movies a lot.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Tell me what the movies were like back
Oh,
then.
we went to Roy Rogers and Gene Autry and Tarzan and all of those every Saturday.
Every Saturday, the
Every
theater downtown in Albemarle.
Both theaters in Albemarle.
Yeah.
And but it was we had a good childhood
Yeah,
of growing up.
sounds like it.
But Mom and Daddy enjoyed movies, and we did too. Now my mother did not live. My mother died at 48. I was 15 when my mother died, and so she didn't get to enjoy television.
Yeah.
But my father did. But we went to the movies a lot.
Right. At least you have those memories
Yes.
of going
Yes.
with them
Yes.
and enjoying that.
Yes.
So did you play any sports?
Yes, I played basketball, and I played tennis, and I was captain of the girls' basketball team. I made all-state. I wasn't
Wow.
but 5 feet tall, but they told me I wasn't big enough to play basketball, and I said, I will play basketball. And I did play basketball, but this was in the olden days when you just had 2 dribbles, and you played half court. And the country school where we went, of course, I started the school in New London and finished at New London. And I always talked about those big girls from up in the country, them big cornbread fed girls. I was small enough I could walk under them and take the ball.
Take the ball, you just swipe it.
But I was captain of the girls basketball team and had all state.
Right.
So
That's exciting.
we did have a good time.
Yeah.
And always played at home all kinds of balls and peggy stick and all that kind of
Right.
things that we did.
Yeah. So you graduated from New London.
I
though.
did.
Okay.
I did.
Did you go to college anywhere
No,
after that?
I got married.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about that.
Dylan and I, he was in the Navy Reserves, and I was in high school when I got married. I got married December the 30th,
How old were you?
and I was 18.
18.
And that's when they were calling in people for the Korean War. And we had the wedding was planned. I was engaged. The wedding was planned and everything, but he said they're calling in everybody. And so we knew that he probably would be. So we eloped and was married. Kept it a secret for a couple of weeks. And the reason I did is because I played basketball, and Hugh Giles, my coach, said that he would never let a girl that was married play basketball.
So you kept it a secret.
And so I kept it a secret, and I said, well, that won't work. So I took my basketball uniform and everything, and I took it in, and I told, and which Hugh Giles was a wonderful friend, teacher too. And I said, okay. I said, here's my uniform. And he said, well, put it in your locker because you're going to need it tomorrow night. And so he didn't
let you
take.
play.
I played for the rest of the year till I graduated.
So where did y'all elope to?
We went to to South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Chesterfield.
Chesterfield. Seems to be the happening place where people
Yeah.
eloped back then.
We did. Sure did.
How did you meet Dylan?
Well, Dylan knew me when I was about 6 or 7 years old. We would be waiting in front of our house at the road, my twin brother and I, on the school bus. And he lived down further. And of course, he was over a year older than I was. And he came by on the school bus, and he told, this is what he told me, and he told this one guy, he said, someday I'm going to marry that little girl. But I did not meet him until I was in high school. And in fact, I was going with somebody else. And I met him at the Alameda Theater. We were waiting to go into the movie and met him, and he called me, and couple of times before we dated.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
How many children did y'all have?
We had 3. Blair was born, we were married in 51. I graduated from high school in 52, and Blair was born in 53.
That's a busy couple of years.
So it was busy years. Dylan went into service before when I graduated. So we had planned a wedding in June, but he went in before. So that's the reason we eloped.
Yeah.
Because we knew they were calling them in.
Yes. Who are your other 2 children?
Our second baby did not live. Blair was, he was 70 years old last February, and our baby died the day after he was born. And Amy was born 5 years later. So she is 60, Blair's 70, and she's 65.
Oh. Now, do they have children? Do you have some grandchildren?
I do. I have 4 granddaughters. Blair had 2 daughters, and Amy and Donnie had 2 daughters. And I have 6 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
I have 3 boys and 3 girls.
Oh,
Split evenly.
Yeah.
Right down the middle.
yes. So, what did you do growing up, Miss Joel?
Well,
What was your profession?
we, you know, nothing compared to what people are today. We had a lot of fun. We had, because people visited back then, cousins and things, and we would go and spend the night with different cousins and things. We got together a lot. We had a bunch of birthdays, reunions and things like that all the time. And we would go, us girls and things, my friends and things, we would go shopping and we'd go to movies and things. And growing up, we just, like I said, we played and things like that.
Yeah,
But we always, my family did travel.
Yeah.
We were beach people. We liked, of course, we liked the mountains too, but we did a lot of, vacationing places and things like that.
Yes. So, did you ever have a job when you and Dylan got married? What did you?
I had a job when I was a teenager in high school. I went to work. The only time I could work was on a Saturday, and I worked for Eford's department store. And I had a little foot. I wore a size 4.5 shoe, and so Eford's department store hired me. I did sell shoes on Saturday, but I was their model for them too. A long time ago, you didn't go to, everything is shipped into places now, but you had to go and buy things. So I can remember very vividly, they would take me to Charlotte. They didn't have but one sample, and it was for the right foot, and I would walk in and model one shoe on my foot, my right foot, and so I modeled shoes for Eford's department store.
That's so interesting.
Wow, that sounds like a very exciting
It
job.
really was. It was very nice.
Yes.
But only one shoe, not
Just
two.
one shoe.
Just
They
one.
did not. They did not have samples because, see, the people that the owners of Eford's department store, Mr. Smith, and his associates, I would model the shoes, and they'd say, "Well, we'll take sizes so and so and so and so of these." This pair. When I'd model them out there, I would walk and model that one shoe so they could see it.
Right.
Oh, that is awesome. Did you ever have any other professions? Or did you stay at home with your children, or?
I did not work. Dylan preferred me to stay home with the children,
Oh, that's
and I did not go to work until the children were in later parts of high school and college, and I went to work for Dylan at the barber shop. I was the receptionist at that time. the barbershop.
Yes. That sounds like a lot of fun as
It was.
well.
That was good. It was really good. We thought it'd be hard working husband and wife, but it wasn't. We had a lot of other
Well,
people.
you had a good
working, too.
relationship, it
And
sounds like.
we really did.
Yes.
Yes.
That's great. Tell me, Jewel, I know that you have a passion for cards and games.
Yes.
What struck your interest in? I know you said y'all played cards growing up.
Yeah.
And so have you just continued that throughout your life?
Yeah, we played, of course, growing up, we played, like go fishing and all that. I mean, when we were really young. And then we got into rummy and there was different kinds of card. I can't even remember all the card games that we played. But my mother and daddy both enjoyed playing cards. And
What-
so we always
Now, did you
did.
pass that on to your children as well?
Strangely, neither one of my children enjoy playing cards.
Really?
And we played when they were little with our friends and things because, gosh, we would every weekend. It was getting together and playing cards, and the kids enjoyed playing. But when I got older, I started playing bridge, and I played bridge I've been playing bridge for 60 some years.
Right.
And then all the other games that
Right.
we've played over the years, but mainly bridge. I belonged to about 4 bridge clubs at one time, and
Goodness.
so
That's a lot to keep track of.
yeah, it was, but it was fun.
So what's your favorite game to play?
Well, bridge was my favorite game, card game of playing, but I really enjoy this canasta. I've played straight canasta, I've played this hand and foot canasta, and so I've played, I guess, any of those
Yeah.
is. Bridge was my first favorite
Yeah.
game to play.
It takes some skill to play bridge and canasta both.
Yeah, I played in tournaments
Right.
and things, and had a real good time with
Yeah.
doing that.
I bet so.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of patience also
Yeah.
playing
Well,
those in those
It
tournaments.
helps your mind, though.
Absolutely.
It helps you stay alert. You got to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And bridge is more remembering things than like canasta and things like that, because it's more of a set thing. But bridge, you got to remember what's been played and what's not played. So it tests your mind a lot more.
It does. It's good
Doing that.
brain health
Yes.
exercises,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Good. Well, tell me what you're most thankful for.
Well, I'm so thankful for so many things. First, I guess, is being a child of God. It's one of my most thankful, because I am. And my family. We had an exceptional family. When the Waltons come in, and every night when they would say good night, John Boy, and good night, I said, golly, they way behind, because that's what we did growing up before the Waltons were ever thought about.
Right.
And I was blessed with such a loving family, and still my children, my family. I don't really have, everybody's my family. It's to me, and I'm just thankful for that.
It's something to be very thankful for.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
All those things.
Yes.
Was there any secrets you want to share with us to how we can make it to 90?
Stay active.
Stay active.
Pray a lot. But, and Betty and I were talking coming out here. I don't know what, I don't know why. I question sometimes why I've lived this long, but and people will say, well, what's it like to live to 90? I said, I don't know what it's like to live to 90. How are you supposed to feel? You know,
Right.
I don't feel any different than I did when I was 40 or 50 or 60 years old. I don't realize I'm 90 years old. I don't, and I don't know how to tell you that.
Well, maybe that's the secret right there.
Yeah, it's just
You just don't
you
let
just-
the number get to
just
you.
be thankful every day, you know, for what you have, and praise the Lord
Absolutely.
for that.
Yeah.
And but staying active, I don't like to. I was telling Betty, I said, you know, I've never been by myself. I said, I wasn't even by myself in the womb.
That's right. You've always had someone with
Until
you.
Dylan passed away, I had never been by myself. And so, but just stay active and just enjoy every day that you have. It's the best way I know to tell you.
I think that's a good way to look at it. Because we're not promised tomorrow,
That's
so enjoy
exactly
the day
right.
that
So
we have.
take today and run with it.
That's right.
And because you don't know what tomorrow's going to be.
That's right.
But thankful.
Yeah. Well, you have a lot to be thankful for. And
I do.
We're very thankful that you shared your story with us.
Well,
And
thank you.
we
thank
appreciate you being here. Is there anything else you'd like to share with?
Well, I'm just really thankful for our senior center that we have, and that, to me, what I think has helped me a lot since Dylan passed. Of course, my family and Blair does live across the street, and thank the Lord for my children because they have been so good, and they are so good. But I can't praise our senior center enough for what it has brought to me. I contribute these last 10, 15 years, you know, to the senior center because it offers so much, and it gives us so many things that we don't have to rely on somebody to take care of us.
Right.
And it helps us take care of ourselves.
Yeah. Keeps you a little more independent.
Yes.
Well, good. That's
yes.
wonderful to hear. Thank you
Yes.
for those words. We appreciate
It's
those.
it's a wonderful, wonderful place. I cannot praise it enough.
Well, thank you. Well, we wish you a happy, happy birthday.
Well, thank you.
And thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much, and
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Today we have John Michalechko here with us, and we're excited to have him. He is getting ready to turn 97 in a couple weeks. John, thank you for being here with us today. So we want to talk to you, and we want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us when and where you were born.
Well, I was born in Pennsylvania,
Pennsylvania.
in a mining area. And it was a coal mining
mining.
area. And we were there for, I'd say, for two years or so in the mines. And then we went ahead and moved out of there, and the worst thing of it is my parents could not speak English, and I couldn't speak Ukrainian, or the Ukrainian.
Mm-hmm.
and that made it pretty difficult.
I bet so. So your parents are from Ukraine?
Parents, no, yes, let me see, parents, yes,
Okay.
from Ukraine,
Right. And they couldn't speak any English?
no.
No English.
And like I say, we as the children couldn't speak any Ukraine.
I bet that did make for a difficult time,
That's
didn't
right,
it?
yeah.
Now tell me, did you have any brothers and sisters?
I had, yes, I had, let's see, 3 brothers and 4 sisters.
Okay. Well, that's a lot to keep up with. But
Yes,
were you the oldest, or were you the baby, or in the middle?
I was in the middle,
In the middle.
yes, yeah.
Okay. And did y'all stay in Pennsylvania, or did y'all move?
Well, we stayed in the area there until the coal mines stopped.
They were closed.
Yes.
Okay. And you served in the military?
I served in the military.
What branch of military did you
in
serve?
The Navy.
In the Navy. What war did you serve in?
World War II.
World War II.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
We appreciate. And so you married your wife after World War II?
Yes.
You and your wife, did y'all have children?
Yes.
Okay. A boy and a girl?
Boy,
Okay. Now, did you have any hobbies? Did you like to play golf?
I liked to play golf, but I was terrible.
Me too, don't worry.
Yeah.
But you had fun doing it, right?
Yes, we had a lot of fun doing it. And we had two persons about my same age, and we played golf, but we were busy. We were eating candy and stuff instead of concentrating on
On the game.
the game. Yeah, yeah. So
Now, did you run?
did I what?
Did you run? Did you like to run?
Yes, I like to run.
That's a good form of exercise.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Do you remember how far you would run at a time?
We'd run until we got tired.
Run until you got tired. Did you run any marathons?
No.
No.
No marathon.
No, just run until you got tired.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, I bet that's more running than I do.
Yeah. So,
Well, tell me what you're thankful for.
well, I'm thankful for being alive, and thankful for being able to do what I do, where I stay, and there I exercise inside the building,
Mm-hmm.
and I walk through the place
And get your steps in.
Get the
and keep moving.
exercise through the whole unit, they have, and I walked in the aisles,
Mm-hmm.
and I walked about as fast as I could without hurting anybody or
Yeah.
anything like that. So
Well, would you say that's your secret to making it to almost 97?
That's right, yeah.
To keep
I mean,
moving?
Yes, keep moving.
Keep moving and walking and
yeah.
staying as active as you can.
Yes,
Is there anything you'd like to share with us?
well, I got a sister, and she's close to me. She comes and visits me occasionally.
We just thank you for sharing your time with us today, and we appreciate you being here. And we want to wish you a happy 97th birthday in a couple weeks. Okay? Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And take
very
care.
much.
Thank you for being here. Today we have Mr. Floyd Kinsey here with us today, and it is a very special day because we are celebrating his 99th birthday today. So, Mr. Floyd, tell me when and where you were born.
I was born in Port Washington, Ohio,
All right,
in
Ohio.
1924.
1924. And today is September 18th.
That's right.
Okay, September 18th, 1924 in Ohio.
91824. How many times have I said that?
So tell me what it was like in Ohio. Did you grow up with any siblings?
I had one sister,
One sister. Okay.
but she was 3 years younger than I was.
Okay, so you're the oldest
yeah,
one,
yeah.
so you had to take care of her, right?
Yeah.
Now, tell me what your home was like. Did you have electricity and indoor plumbing, things like that, back in 1924 or in the 20s?
We did not have electricity, and we didn't have indoor plumbing, and of course we didn't have TV.
Right.
But we did get electricity then later on, not too long after I moved there, and then we put plumbing in. We finally had plumbing, and so we had a shower and plumbing, and so we were basically trying to get caught up, And in fact, we were taking the lead. In some instances, we were taking the lead in getting things done.
That's right.
Yeah.
So now, did you stay in Ohio throughout your childhood?
Well, until I went to the end of the service in 1942.
Okay.
Yeah, in World War WW2.
Yes. All right. So World War II, you served. But tell me a little bit about what it was like growing up. Did you play any sports, or what did you do for fun as a kid?
Yeah, we had a lot of different sports, but mostly intramural kind of sports. Where we had where we made up teams. And played different kinds of sports. But I was also a member of the baseball and basketball teams in school, and that was fortunate. But not football. We didn't have enough money to support football.
Okay. But you did basketball and baseball.
Basketball and baseball, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. What were some other things that you guys did for fun growing up? You and your
Well-
friends, or you and your sister?
Well, in 1938, I think my dad decided that maybe it was time he would take a vacation,
Okay.
because he worked for the Belden Brick Company for almost 50 years.
Wow.
But anyway, we took a vacation trip to Michigan, a fishing trip.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that was the beginning of many trips we took on vacation at vacation time, on fishing trips. Yeah. So the
Did you have any luck?
Yeah. Well, oh yes.
Oh.
We went all over. Mostly later on up in Canada, quite a bit in Canada. and more so than stateside. Right. Yeah,
Right.
we
So-
enjoy.
Those might have been some cold fishing trips.
Well, in some cases, yes. Yeah. But most generally, it was in the late fall.
Late fall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, did you get a lot of snow growing up living in Ohio?
On occasion, yes, but I wasn't really fond of snow.
Me neither.
I was glad to move down south when it did happen. Yes, we got snow, and we dealt with it, you know.
Did you
so,
still have to
yeah,
go to school
yeah,
in the snow?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They didn't call school off when it snowed, did they?
No, no,
Not like today.
no school clothes,
Yeah.
hardly at all. in those
That's
days.
right. That's right.
Hardly at all.
All right. Well, tell me about your spouse.
My spouse.
How did you meet your wife?
Well, it's an interesting story. I met my wife in 1928, I would say 1928. We were in Sunday school
Oh,
together.
so you've
and
known her for
her-
quite some time.
Her parents and my parents were in the same church, and that time St. Paul's Evangelical and Reformed Church, which is now the United Church of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And we met back in the late, as I say, in the late 1920s, and we were in the same class in high school, but we had a big class, 15 people in our class.
15, a whole 15.
15, 10 girls, 5 guys, and I ended up marrying one
One of the girls. Well, you were one of the lucky fellas, weren't you?
Yeah, so we had, but it was a good time. It was a good time, and we enjoyed it.
How old were you when you got married? How
Yeah,
old were you when you got married?
24.
24.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, 24 years old.
All right.
Which is, I guess, about the right age.
Yeah, yes.
At least if you don't know who you're marrying, which
Right.
you're too late now anyway.
That's right. So did you go into the service before you got married?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you
Right,
were
I
you
was-
said what branch were you?
Navy.
In the
but,
Navy.
Stateside.
Hmm.
Yeah. But
So where did that take you?
well,
Did you go to San Diego,
all over the
United
yeah,
States?
yeah. But we had a I would say a reasonably a good time overall, but I can't say I had a good time in being in the service. You know, I don't want to say that.
How long did you
but,
serve?
From 42 to 46.
42 to 46. Okay.
Yeah, 42 to 46. And I got out and got married in 48.
Mm-hmm.
Was married 63 years before my wife passed on.
Well, that's quite an
Yeah,
accomplishment. Not
yeah.
many can say that.
No,
Yes,
and we were very happy.
that's wonderful.
But I told my wife and I told my son and grandchildren that when you get married, you don't marry that person. You don't marry that person. You do, but you marry the whole family.
That's right. It's not just one; it's many,
That's
right?
So you had to marry the whole family, and I was very fortunate in that I had a family that her family was like my family. I mean, we're very, very close, being in the same church together
Right.
and so forth. And in fact, we were both confirmed together, joined church together, and it was much easier that way for me. And I was very fortunate.
Now, did you get married in that church?
No,
No. Oh,
but I got married by the minister that was there, and he had a church in Coshocton, Ohio, and we were married there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
1946.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, how many children did you have? Just one. Just one. And he
Just-
is with
just-
here with us
one.
today.
He was like 5 or 10, you know.
Yeah.
One was like having 5 or 10.
So how many grandchildren do you have?
2.
Two.
Uh-huh.
Any great grandchildren yet? Not yet.
They're not married yet. no.
Oh
Not
goodness,
yet.
not yet, not yet. All right. What profession did you do growing up? Maybe after the military, what'd you come home and do?
I came home, and when I went into GE, I went into what is now industrial engineering. It was called time and motion study, where we actually carried a watch clock around with us, and we interviewed people on jobs to see what the time would be for them to perform that particular job. And as a result, we brought up a wage rate that they were paid on. They were paid by whatever they produced, and so it was in those days it was time and motion study. So if you reached over to grab something, you had to. It was all in hundredths of a minute. Reached over to grab something, you had to. It was that fine, you know.
And that was through GE.
It was a GE, yes.
Okay.
I was GE all the way.
All the way.
All the way.
How many years?
43
40.
years.
43 years.
Wow.
You put in your time with GE, then didn't you? You should have lifetime rights.
Well, what are you most thankful for here today?
What am I most thankful for?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, I've got good people, number one, starting with Bill and the whole family, but good people here that I'm involved with, and also meeting people that that are really good people.
Yeah.
That'd be the number one thing, I think, the people.
Right.
Yes. Yes. So, what's your secrets to living to your 90s and 99 at that? What is your secrets?
Early on, when I got married, it was learning to say yes, dear.
Did you live the happy wife, happy life motto?
Yes, dear. No, my secret, I guess, was to treat other people like I thought they would like to be treated, and when they treated me that way, then we were much closer and much a better relationship,
Right.
Right,
That's a good way to live by.
right.
More of us need to do that. Are there any other stories or things you would like to share about your life?
About my life?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Every year we went, actually, we took to fishing. And we took what we call fishing trips to, starting out in Michigan and then we moved over to Canada, up into Canada and different places in Canada for several years. Every year we took a nice trip,
Right.
and we did a lot of other things other than just fish, but we went mainly for a fishing trip. We did that every year. That was our vacation.
Right. Which one's your favorite spot to go fishing?
Up in Canada,
Yeah.
there were several spots up there, but in Canada, I would say more so than stateside, because it was more of an opportunity to get into a territory that had not been fished that much,
Yeah. Better chances of catching something, right?
Right, exactly right.
Now, how
Exactly.
far were you from Canada?
How far?
In Ohio.
Well, I would say about 400 to 500 miles.
Okay.
Yeah,
So y'all would just take a road trip
yeah.
up
right,
to Canada.
Right,
Okay.
right. But then we went into Canada. One year I went early on by myself, and then later on I took other people. But I went by myself, and we took trips to what was the name of that town? I can't think of the name of the town, but anyway, it was an annual affair every year, and we went back a lot of times to the same place.
Right.
And in some places they had where you could go and stay for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, and they gave you all the service you needed and good food and everything, you know. So we took advantage of some of that too.
Right.
Yeah.
So your father
had-
started that tradition, and
Yeah,
you
right.
continue to carry it on.
Right, exactly.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
He did.
Now, how did you get to North Carolina?
Well, I guess really it was an opportunity that I had to come down to Greensboro from Chicago, because I went into service at GE in Cincinnati for about 6 years, and then got transferred to Chicago, Arlington Heights, outside of Chicago, and then got transferred to Greensboro. Then I made maybe a mistake, I don't know, but I made a statement that we didn't have no warehouse in Atlanta.
No, so they sent you to Atlanta,
so I got transferred to Atlanta, and we set up a warehouse in Atlanta, and we were down there for 2 years, and then we got transferred. They called and said that the representative here in Greensboro, North Carolina area, was going to retire, and would I want to move to Greensboro? And I said yes. So we moved to Greensboro, and we lived in Wake Forest. And Wake Forest was one of the best towns we ever lived in.
lived in.
Yeah,
That
it
was
was
your
like-
favorite spot to live in?
Right on the edge of the golf course.
Oh,
And after I retired,
you played golf,
I
huh?
played golf. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, golf was a big thing in my life. Golf.
Was one of your favorite hobbies?
Well, let's see. We
Fishing
had,
also.
pardon?
Fishing. You liked fishing.
Yeah, that was my favorite. Yeah.
Favorite hobby, and then golf.
Yeah, yeah. But we did some hunting too.
Okay.
Yeah. But mostly fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, we thank you for sharing your story with us and a little bit about your life, and we just appreciate the time that you took here with us today, and
Okay.
we just want to wish you the happiest 99th birthday, and thank you for celebrating it with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to The Secrets to Longevity. We look forward to being back next year.